All right, well, the debate on whether officers should wear body cameras isn't just in our area, as many across the United States are having the same discussions that we are. Joining us now to talk more about it is Mark Levine. He is a constitutional attorney. Welcome back. Good
Thank
to see
you for having me here.
So we've just watched that piece, and my sense of that is that Laurel seems to be handling this pretty well.
I think they are doing it pretty well. I actually think the Chief Lanier is actually doing a pretty good job in D.C. She was going to have it for 90 days, I think, or 180 days. That seems reasonable, enough time to make sure there's no complaint, no arrest, and then erase them, because we don't, security cameras, they run on an infinite loop. You don't need to save years back. But if there is an arrest, if there is a police complaint, we want to know what happened. I mean, the big argument over Ferguson is really among millions of Americans who were not there and have no idea what went on. And here, some people insist that Officer Darren Wilson was entirely correct, and some people insist that Michael Brown did nothing wrong. And we weren't there. We only have a few witnesses, and their testimony conflicts. The body camera would be able to resolve that issue. The other thing I think is I think the police would probably be a little more polite if they knew that everything they said or did was being recorded, and that's a good thing.
Right. We saw the reduction, the numbers we report, 30% reduction.
That's terrific.
In Laurel in some of those confrontations, so that's a good thing. You do have some concerns. You generally support body cameras. You have some concerns about them, and so do police departments. First, tell me what some of your concerns are.
Well, I think there need to be good regulations on them. You heard about the 18 pages. I don't know if they...
That's a lot, it seems.
We need 18 pages. But it seems to me that, number one, they shouldn't be able to be turned off by the officer. I think that's very, very important. I think any officer that turns off a body camera, ipso facto, is probably doing something they shouldn't be doing.
Now, let me interrupt you for a second, because some officers say, well, what about, when I have to go to the bathroom, or what about, privacy issues, or like when they go into a home and someone says, no, I'd rather you not record.
Well, in terms of the bathroom, I mean, every American adult has been in a public restroom. They don't show body parts, so, if we hear noises from the bathroom, that's nothing that any of us haven't undergone in any public bathroom anywhere in the country. So I really don't think that's an issue. When it comes to people wanting to turn off the cameras, I think that people have a right to give anonymous tips to the police, but I think they should be encouraged not to. I think they should be reminded that what they say is very important. We don't want people making false accusations. So while I agree with anonymous tips, it should be on the record that the person says, I don't want the tip there. I really would much rather put it all there. That doesn't mean it's available to the public. This is very important. Just because these cameras are on doesn't mean that you can go stream and watch your favorite police officer, like cops live every minute. No, it doesn't work like that. They'd be put in a place. They would not be used unless there's an incident, unless there's something wrong. But as a lawyer who's tried a number of cases, I can tell you that witness testimonies are often all over the map, and sometimes people remember better the moment they say something than a year later or months later. Let's get it all on camera.
You mentioned the anonymous tip issue. Some police departments have raised that, and they've said, look, that when they're out in the field, when they're working sources and all of that type of thing, sometimes they have people who want to approach them and give them information, but sometimes those people don't want to be, they don't want it to be known that they've done that or what have you. And some of the police departments say they're worried that it will cut down on the number of people who are willing to step forward and tell them something.
Here's the thing. If someone wants to give an anonymous tip, first of all, there's all kinds of 800 numbers to do that. But if they want to do it in person, they can go up to a police officer. They can ask that this be anonymous. I think the burden should be on the person, though, because I think that generally we want these things to be recorded. And then that kind of thing would not, you could make a regulation that said that would not be used in a case. But to be fair, if it's an anonymous tip, it can't be used as evidence. It's not going to be used to convict somebody. So people need to understand that if they want their information to be used, they really should come out of the shadows and not be anonymous. But they should have that right. I do think they should have that right.
There is dialogue about this. There is debate about it. And in some ways, one is a little bit surprised because it's not an entirely new concept. We have dashboard cameras that record police interactions with the public. Why do you think there's such an outcry about body cameras?
I don't think there's a difference, honestly, between dashboard cameras and body cameras, other than the bathrooms, which you mentioned. I really think the whole idea is that we should film a public servant's working with the public. I have no problem with that. I mean, members of Congress, they go on C-SPAN. Members of the police, they are working for the public. Now, in their off time, that's different. You know, you're off duty,
Sure.
turn the cameras off. But if you're on duty, you are a public servant. And even if it just causes people to be more polite, even, you know, there's some allegations that Darren Wilson said, get the F off the street. We don't know whether it's true or not. He says he wasn't polite or not. If you know you're being recorded, you're probably likely to be a little more polite with the community, and that makes the community trust you more. And frankly, we want communities trusting police. If they know everything's being recorded, the community is more likely to tell the police officer, more likely not to fear the police officer, more likely not to react violently because they feel they don't have anything to do. One of the things I try to encourage people to do, if they have a complaint with a police officer, go ahead and file that complaint. If people know their body cameras, then the answers are those complaints will be justly resolved, both for the citizen and for the police officer.
Hopefully. All right, Mark Levine, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in. Want to let you know that the topic of police body cameras is our Fox 5 feedback question. Do you think all police officers should be wearing body cameras? Cast your vote. Just go to myfoxdc.com. We're going to post the results of our feedback question tonight during Fox 5 Local News at 6, coming up.